So I have my user at example.com with the email. How do I turn this guy into an admin? I know there's a field on him named admin, but it's set to false by default. So I'm going to show you something called the Rails console. Basically, if you open your command line and you type Rails console, this opens up a prompt. This opens up a new area where you can type in Rails code. And in here, you can actually kind of bypass a lot of this stuff and change users directly. Now, I'm going to show you kind of for the first time how you can really interact with models to get things out of your database. So what are some things you could do in the console? Well, I can call my user model by running user with a capital U, and I can do .all. And this actually will get all of the users out of our database and return it to us as a list. And in this case, there's actually only one user in our database. But if I, for example, logged out and I signed up again, and I created another user, Matan at onemonth.com, signed up. Well, now if I run user.all, I actually see two in here. There's the first user, there's the second user. And you notice on both of them, admin false. Cool. What else can I do? Well, I can get the user.first, and that actually just pulls out the first user. I can do user.last, and that pulls out the last user of the two. I can find specifically by something like an email, user.find_by, and then here I actually pass through an argument into parentheses, email, and then in quotes the email, user@example.com, and close quotes and close parentheses. So that'll find a user by their email address, or you can find it by an ID or whatever else you want. Those are going to be the more convenient ones that you use. So that's how you would look something up. So let's look up the user that I want to make an admin user. I'll actually do that with my my second one that I just created. So I'll do user.find by email, but actually I want to set this equal to a variable so that I actually can do stuff with it. User equals, and that's lowercase u. Now this is uppercase, user.find by email Matan at onemonth.com. So what this is going to do is it pulls out my user, but now I have this user variable available that I can run stuff on. Okay, because this is going to be necessary to change the user. I can do other stuff in here, and specifically what I'm going to do, if I wanted to get like the user's email, I would do user.email, and that gives me the email, or user.id, user.createdAt, user.admin, false. Now I can also override these. I can do user.admin equals true. And if I check the user, I see admin's true. However, it hasn't been saved yet. None of these changes actually go into our database until I run user.save. So if I changed my email or stuff like that, just know that until I run save, it won't happen. But when you do run save, you'll see begin transaction. This is actually running SQL code to update the user. Commit transaction, true. Rails will return true if you save a user and it works. So now, a good way to actually check to make sure this worked is if you type up enough times to go back to the original find, it'll pull it out of your database again. And when it pulls it out of your database, it pulls the most updated thing. So now admin is true. And if I'm logged in as the right user, now I can go to the admin section. And I actually should see that there's an admin column because this automatically updates based on all the fields on my user. And I see that I have admin set to true for Matan, but not set to true for the other user, the second user. We're going to interact a lot more with models and stuff like this, but we're mostly going to do it inside of our controllers, which is where most of this code will actually go. We just had to do this inside of the console here because that was the only way to actually make a user an admin for the first time ever. So just know that if you ever really need to make changes to like a user or something and you want to bypass all of like the Rails stuff, you can do it by opening up the Rails console and you just make your changes in here. You can also close this by doing, I think it's Control D. Control D closes the Rails console, and now I'm back at my command line, and I'll run clear and just clear it all out. and just created my first admin.